Greetings, friends and members of Orchard Ridge United Church of Christ. I am honored to be your final candidate for the position of senior minister. And I've had such a wonderful time with the search committee. You chose well and voted well and empowered them well to represent you. And I look forward to meeting you at the meet and greets next week. And I look forward to sharing in worship on July 12th, even in this strange moment that we find ourselves in. And this really is such an amazing moment in human history, both inspiring with the civil rights-like movement that we're seeing around Black Lives Matter, and also tragic with this pandemic and things still on the rise. But it really speaks to the values and the health of your community, our community, hopefully in the future, to have the ability to keep this forward momentum, this positive momentum in such a unique time. So I'm thrilled to be joining you in these ways in the next week. And I also hear that you're a church that loves babies. And that's wonderful because, as you know, my partner and I, Daniel and I, are expecting a baby girl come November, mid-November. And so we're thrilled at the prospect of creating family and home and life and community among you. Thank you for some of the preliminary questions from the beautiful brochure that the search committee made and from the videos that were sent around. And I really hope that we can develop relationships where we do ask bold and true questions that draw out the good in one another. Thank you for asking about my identity as queer and my preferred, oh my gosh, a bug just hit me. A preferred, I'm going to keep that in because, why not? And my preferred gender pronouns. So I'm cisgendered, which is what the majority of people are. It just means I identify with the gender assigned to me at birth, which is female. So my pronouns are she, her, hers. Cisgender is in contrast with transgender or genderqueer or gender non-binary or gender non-conforming identities, which means people who have sought liberation from their assigned gender identity to more truly match the authenticity of their spirit or their body. Queer is a reclaimed word that I use to point to the beautiful spectrum of sexual identity, different than gender identity, in the LGBTQIA community. I choose to say queer and claim queer for myself rather than straight or lesbian or bisexual or pansexual, all of which could have been true at certain times in my relational life, because for me, queer gets at the fluidity of my sexual identity that is with me, no matter who I am partnered with. And my beloved Daniel does not identify as part of the queer community. He tends to resist stable categories of identity, which is in some sense what queer means to me, but it's up to each individual to claim their own truth. Queer also gets at my commitment to collective liberation and points to a community, the queer community, that has been life-saving and life-giving to me. And queer is a reclaimed word. It's one that can be provocative for some because it's been used to harm people in the past. And so it's reclaimed in these ways. And queer theory is also a theoretical turn in academic fields, which seeks to subvert a norm or question a binary, or break down human categories that do not liberate. And the field of liberation theology, queer liberation theology, ecofeminist liberation theology, Black liberation theology, for example, are all fields of study that are close to my heart. You also asked what are the most important takeaways of the NGLI, or Next Generation Leadership Initiative program that I'm part of. And NGLI is a ministry of the pension boards of the UCC that equips and energizes and empowers younger UCC local church pastors to build vibrant congregations that change lives and further God's mission in the world. It's kind of their mission statement. But the most valuable part of the program for me has been the cohort of the biblical 12 people, young pastors, other young pastors who they put me with, who I've gotten to know over the last 4 years of amazing coursework. And the bonding with the group has allowed a sense of depth when learning things like family systems theory with Richard Blackburn, which I know your congregation has had amazing experiences with him in the past, with the Lombard Mennonite Peace Center. And that sort of exploration can be really vulnerable. And exploring my own family systems and things that come up in my current former church context, and how it relates to being a non-anxious presence in the face of difficulty. This has been so valuable, and the cohort has been incredible to grow with and check in with each other about these ongoing things. And the ongoing commitment for the next 6 years of the NGLI program is that each year the program grants me and my cohort members up to $2,000 for continuing education, program of our choice now, which we each apply for this money based on our passions or growing edges in ministry, things that we want to continue to develop. This is such an amazing support system in the UCC. And I love learning, so I will use these funds and opportunities to continue to grow in my spiritual journey and leadership development. I can't wait to meet you all. Blessings to you, Orchard Ridge United Church of Christ.